Thank you. Can you guys hear me all right? Perfect. Well, can maybe start with a couple quick intros from Reneel and Nick, and then dive into some questions about conversion, ads, what's working, kind of practical tips about what's going on. So Nick?
All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Grow. My name is Nick. I run a company called Sharma Brands. We are basically a full-service growth team, but mainly we're the hosts for tonight's after party. So make sure you go to growafterparty.com and RSVP. We spent way too much money on this for you not to show up. But if you have any questions, you can find myself. There's also Ari, our Chief Growth Officer. Any questions about growth, celebrity brands, whatever, we got you.
And hi, Reneel Boratunga. Currently, you're coming out of a role at Dollar Shave Club, Chief Digital Officer, Global GM of Direct to Consumer, former Meta, and also former Agency Life player. So I've been around a few decades, doing digital, doing websites, doing marketing, seen it all.
Awesome. Thank you. So, how do you guys look at digital experience? What's kind of working right now? What are you guys seeing in the ecosystem that's kind of been kind of working the last, 6, 12 months?
So anytime I think of digital, I think of this acronym I have called TRACE, which stands for Technology, Reporting, Audiences, Creative, and Experience. And it's basically the approach to full funnel marketing. I think previously a lot of digital was very siloed. You had your media buyers, you had your creative team, you had your web people, your site merchandisers, your ops people. And I think the TRACE model sort of reflects how digital is today, which is very cohesive and full funnel. Experience-wise, I think the main thing people want to know is, have other people tried it and have they had good experiences? Is it convenient for me to get to this experience? Is it convenient for me to learn and understand, what's in the product? And overall, I now also think digital is sort of plays somewhat in the middle of funnel. I think digital used to be the full funnel, and I think now it's just a part of that funnel. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about top of funnel later. But, I think I see digital going from this, D2C used to be the entire channel. And now I think D2C is sort of a piece of that journey that works well with other pieces that we'll talk about both in upper and lower funnel.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I think the framework is amazing. And I think just you're talking about what's happening now. There's explosion of all new tech, explosion of AI. AI this, AI that. There's all the things that you can add on to your tech stack. And I do think there's this common thing that I have always come back to, as actually part of your acronym, and that's just the consumer, it's your audience. And so really it's about broad audience insights and actually rooting anything that you do, whether it be your physical product, your digital experience, your in-store experience from an omnichannel perspective, et cetera, rooted in those human truths. And so that's about a broad-based perspective. You have to start there and build from there. And so really kind of this whole conversation, when you talk about core digital experiences, people are getting more and have the lower tolerance for pain. So kind of speed is a common thing that has come up in terms of getting to the right information as quickly as possible at the right moment, get to that checkout experience as quickly as possible, and be able to check out as fast as possible. That's one example of it, but there are other truths out there for each of the brands in the room, as well as for kind of micro audiences within that. So I always come back to that, start with the human first, and build out from there.
Arthur, I'm curious, you guys see probably a few hundred sites in real time. What do you think the answer is?
Ooh. What's going on right now? Well, we're seeing just the friction, as much friction as you can remove from whether it's a checkout experience, whether it's kind of the first page load in, anything that you can remove, just, one page of friction, one click that you can take away, we're seeing huge results. I think when we saw people move to the one click, or not the one click, the one page checkout on Shopify, just absolutely, we're seeing a lot of brands increase conversion rate by 5-10%. Well, when they onboard onto Nostra, we see conversion go up. A little biased there, but seeing a lot of anytime you can remove friction, it would just make a huge difference. So to throw it back at you, how are you bridging both the online and offline experience? Kind of what are you seeing that's working there? How are you kind of looking at kind of using an omni-channel approach there?
Well, for most recent experience, Dollar Shave Club, this is really hard to do, especially at scale. But it starts with knowing who your audience is, breaking those down, and then from a master brand perspective, making sure that it's the exact same experience from the design perspective, from a value prop perspective, every single product, what is that story, 3 or 4 points, and that has to, what is your flow there, whether it be physical, digital, or omni, which is, I agree with Nick, there's sometimes that path is all over the place, but as long as you have consistent design, look and feel, value prop selling points that are consistent over and over and over again, you overthink it on the brand side. You think, oh gosh, I keep repeating myself over and over and over again, and consumers are just going to be hit over the head with it. It's not the case. They do need that repetition. They do need that consistency. Otherwise, you're disjointed, you're fragmented. People don't know what you're actually selling. So the consistency from the points of selling all the way through the experience and feel, whether it be physically on a pack, store experience, digital shelf, etc. It all has to feel together.
Yeah, I would agree. The other thing I would say, is, and I don't have nearly as much offline as you, but we've launched a couple brands like Feastables and Jolie, and one of the things that we do there is we figured out how do we get people who are buying this product either on Amazon. In Jolie's case, they have a subscription for the filter. You can't really get that, or you can get that on Amazon, but it's much better if we can get you to buy the shower head and use a QR code, and then come to the site and have an incentive to buy the replacement filter from us on the site. And same thing with Feastables. We did a giveaway, and so if you scan the QR code, it goes through a platform called Bridge. We're able to track exactly where you're scanning from, how many times you're scanning, who you are as a customer, and sort of bridge that gap online and offline. But the main thing is you have to have a reason for these people to go. If you have a QR code on your product, when was the last time you yourself scanned a QR code on a box? Probably never, right? But if you have some incentive that aligns with the reason somebody's coming to buy from you, you increase that chance significantly.
What are some of those incentives that you've used in the past?
The easiest one's probably $1 off or percentage off, just a simple offer. With Feastables, because Mr. Beast is known for giving tons of money away, it was giveaways. I think it was, Jess is here somewhere today, but it was giving away Teslas or giving away, I think giving away a chocolate factory. But basically summons, but that aligns to the audience that he has, right? Like his audience wants that giveaway of a Tesla. But if you're buying a Jolie, it might just be that your third month of your third filter is free. And so when you subscribe to us online, instead of paying $33 for the third quarter, that one's on us.
Yeah, I was going to say it depends on the audience, and so what we've seen work is very much that discount right away to something I want transactionally. But that doesn't mean it's going to be the same. Whether it be access to content, access to experiences, access to all these different things that you could test. You don't just throw everything at the wall. Go and talk to your customers. Go talk to your prospects. Whether it be quick and easy one-on-one conversations, actually official quant or qual research, go ask them and then go test from there. Because testing for testing's sake does nothing. You're going to waste 80% of your time, but if you go talk to customers, go talk to prospects, then go build your testing plan from there.
Absolutely. So what's working at the top of the funnel? What platforms are working? Kind of what funnels are working? Kind of what have you been spending your time on?
Honestly, the one thing so lately I've gotten into the reality TV world. I don't know how many of you guys are Bravo fans or Real Housewives, but if you want to come chat Real Housewives, let me know. What I found is these I guess equal-wise men and women who are mostly women who are in the culture or in the zeitgeist. They've got their podcasts, the Melissa Woods of the world, the Skinny Confidentials of the world. Those have proven to be some of the best forms of top of funnel. Working with affiliates who are influencers and creators that have these incredible audiences. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Like to Know It, or it used to be called Reward Style. Huge affiliate network of very highly vetted content creators. Those guys can move $1 million in a weekend in product. And that basically finding people who have an audience that is somewhat reality show driven, in the sense that, if you watch a celebrity on TV play another character in a show, you build a relationship with that character and that character's emotions. But when you have somebody who's a YouTuber or reality star, you're basically building that relationship with them. If you can find that equivalent, whether it's with podcasters, whether it's with people who go live stream a bunch, whether it's with people who are gamers that have that connection, that sort of like real personal connection. I also call it the YouTube vlog style connection. That's proven to be the best possible, highest ROI top of funnel. And then, of course, if you want to get more scalable, then you've got channels like TV or, advertorial, sponsored editorial content, all that type of stuff. But I really do think that the best top of funnel is always the unscalable stuff.
Yeah, I agree. We'll double down on everything he said. And I think the influencer space has changed drastically, and there's these micro pockets of how you can execute it really, really well. Everything Nick said is absolutely true. The last piece that you said, I'll piggyback on, is I think people have kind of left the traditional channels, some of your more traditional TV, kind of audio channels that really, when you talk about dumping more and more money into Meta and TikTok and other things, and when you start literally talking about, is it my right audience, and you talk about pure numbers, there's actually efficiencies to be gained from a top of the funnel perspective of seeing eyeballs in those things at an efficient rate. So I'd say, depending on the audience, look at stuff that you normally have abandoned recently because you think it's the hot fad to get into, and also look at these different nooks and crannies of how to execute influencers, because the game's changed drastically. There's 100 ways you could do it. Be creative with it. Don't just go to an agency. Don't just go to a tech platform and go pitch your standard script. Go figure out the best way to execute to your audience.
So what's not working? Where have you just torched money and gotten no ROI?
I think radio. Hopefully nobody from iHeartMedia is here. Those goddamn sales reps, guys. Radio doesn't work. Honestly, I just think of myself. Where would I consume information? I may look like an Indian guy on the outside, but I'm a white girl on the inside, right? And I'm usually the customer of the brands we have. And so I just try to think, where would I want to consume information? Where would I want to discover things? If I'm seeing something in this medium, would I believe it myself? The other test I have is, would my mom see this and believe it? What other questions would she have? Would she feel like she's getting a trustworthy opinion or a trustworthy, message, whatever that positioning is? But, I think going back to what I said earlier, the unscalable stuff is where the discovery happens. And then all of the other performance channels, obviously Meta, Google, Snap, whatever, they work in the right way. But I do think that the stuff that is not working is when you try to force things. If you just launch something and you're trying to run Facebook ads just to make it work, you take your ads from one platform and try to test into a new platform without changing creative, that's not going to work. It's got to be the stuff that, it's always, if it's not a slow grind at the start, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, I think the execution there is the most important thing. Where I've seen things fail, or I'm going to take this one creative campaign that I've built and I'm going to slap it on 50 channels and not think about it, whether it be display or movie theater or whatever, but it's just basically your TV campaign that you've cut and pasted everywhere, including digital. That's where I see it fail. And that's not Dollar Shave Club, but other brands that I've worked with. So that's the key is don't spray and pray, and design for the audience, design for the channel, and make it an immersive experience, and where it fits in the funnel too. So that's the most important thing.
Has there been a campaign you ran that you thought was just going to absolutely do really well, and then you spent a bunch of money on it and it completely flopped? You don't have to say what brand it was for, but...
Absolutely. I think it's happened a few times. And there's the mesh of kind of creative and design with media, with planning, with strategic audience build-outs and things like that. All of that has to come together. And the bigger the company, the harder it is to pull all those people together to actually execute something that is meaningful to your consumer. And every one of those examples, I've seen it because they usually take the consumer out of the center of that conversation, and you start to be like, the ego of me and brand, what the brand should be is how I want it to manifest, and that's where you fail. And so that's it's happened a few times, and I'll even say over the years of Dollar Shave Club, even there's some micro campaigns where that's happened before. But where it's really worked is you make sure that consumer is the center of your conversation, execution, design, everything, the product itself. You can stay true there, and you're okay.
Fantastic. So shifting to kind of the landing experience. So you've attracted some traffic. You're getting it to a page. Where are you sending it? how has that changed over time? What's kind of the obvious no-brainers that you need to have on your website?
So building funnels by audience is super, super important, but don't take that and say, all right, I'm going to build 10 funnels based on all these micro audiences. It's all about broad human truths and broad human categories and making sure that those funnels mean something to those consumers and something that you can actually scale. So that all depends on traffic, depends on how big you are. You get there, you got to get to the right information as fast as possible. This is where I've seen it work with things like Nostra. I'm literally milliseconds in terms of load time for that initial experience. And then also that checkout experience of having saved payment information, all those different things that are kind of standard stuff. Going back to what I said at the start of this, which is people have a very, very low tolerance for pain. So making it as easy as possible and as contextually relevant to who you are, where you came from, and that handshake. So whether it be paid or organic, sometimes you're using the same funnel for both, and you're trying to get people through a conversion conversation, or it's coming from offline, like that QR experience that Nick just talked about earlier. So really tying that together to get them through that funnel is most important, and only building out as much as your traffic can hold. Because if you start fragmenting it, you're not going to get to stat sig. So rule of thumb, where I've always practiced this, is if you can get to stat sig based on your traffic within 2 weeks, build enough for that type of audience pool. Otherwise, you're blowing too much out of the water.
Yeah, I would say I'm a very conversion-driven type of man here. My phone number starts with 310 because I know it has a higher chance of somebody picking it up if I were to call them. I think I always like sending traffic to a landing page or something that's easy to, even the link I gave you earlier, growafterparty.com. That's a redirect, but it makes it easier for you guys to, the conversion's going to be higher than if I told you guys to go to another link or something with a backslash, right? I think I like to give landing pages for everything. Every ad should have a landing page it goes to. I think the landing page does a great job of explaining what is the product, why does it exist, how is it going to benefit the customer, when is it shipping, how do you get it? Whereas product pages don't tend to include all that information right away. Also, product page, the way that ads work now, Facebook doesn't have the best idea of, did Ari come here to Everlane's site and look at the jeans in this color, or did she look at the shirt in this color? What was she interested in? And so having that approach of landing pages sort of protects you whether or not somebody knows the brand really well or doesn't know the brand. The other thought I had is you said Nostra. Has anybody here heard of Jolie, the showerhead company? If you pull up the website for Jolie, jolieskinco.com, just see how fast that thing is. That's another great example of something we did, and that improved conversion 20% just by speeding up the site with Nostra. And so there's, obviously there's going to be a lot, Jolie's a brand that has a ton of organic traffic and a ton of direct traffic. The site speed thing is real. It really, really benefits the brand when you have fast site speed, especially when you think of, we live in a bubble. We're all kind of nerds in some way, and so we're always on Wi-Fi, we're always on LTE or 5G. The average person probably isn't. They're on their mobile, they're on their iPhone, they're on a slower internet connection, and so when you don't have that fast site speed, it's really detrimental, and it costs your ads a lot more than it should.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, I think you're kind of probably focusing on a mix of folks that are doing it themselves, folks that have a tech team back at home, or whatever it might be. Where the world's going is simplify the tech stack and simplify these things, and you're going to have this balance of, I need to build all these features for my audience and for my specific use case and things like that. And there's this push and pull just from where I'm seeing everyone move to is away from custom, away from headless, away from all these things that take 100 engineers to support. Shea Club just went through this themselves. We just built this over the last year and a half, away from a custom build to a Shopify standard build, but implementing things like Nostra and other things to make the site faster and be able to build stuff that's cool for our customer, but still have that site speed on top. It's always going to be a balance, but there's more and more of simplify, and bring on things that'll make things faster and easier for your customer. So I'll just last plug is, and that's a hard transition to make, but I've talked to a couple of Fortune 500 companies, a bunch of folks that have been building something custom for the last 20 years, and everyone's having this conversation. So simplify is really the theme right now.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Any last remarks? Where's the after party again?
Yes. Guys, I'm serious, all right? Find me, if you don't remember this link, growafterparty.com. Second thing, please give the staff here a thank you if you see them. They always do this event, and it's incredible. Shout out to my guy, Ishan, over there, always making this happen. And third, I hope you guys have a great rest of your conference.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
That's so amazing. That's